I'm Carleigh Davis. I'm an assistant professor in the English and Technical Communications department. Students usually call me Dr. Davis. Well, the thing I like about teaching technical communication is that it helps students communicate their expertise in whatever job field they go into. So you can go out in the world and be the best engineer or the best chemist or the best social worker, and nobody really knows that until you can get that information to your audience or to the people that need it in a way that's going to help them. So I like that my courses help create that flexible communication environment. You know, you hear writing class and you think, oh, this person's going to be all over my grammar, or I don't really want to write a lot of long papers. That's what I hear. And technical writing is not really about long papers or essays or things like that. We're focused on really practical, industry-based or professionally based kinds of communication. So I think students like the hands-on nature of that. In any course I teach, we're going to do a lot of case-based learning, or sometimes we call them messy problems or wicked problems. It's heavily situational. Right? So we don't do things that are really artificial or things that are written just for me as your teacher. We're going to do things that have real audiences out in the world, real corporate situations that you have to engage with. And for that reason, that's where a lot of those multiple options for right answers come about. I try to keep a lot of the work in the classroom space. So you don't go home with pages and pages to write or a ton of reading to do. It's more that hands-on engagement in the class. We're going to produce part of the document. We're going to test it with users and see if that actually works or if there's something that needs tweaked. You're going to do that kind of experiential learning. For example, a lot of times writing classes will give a template for how an assignment's supposed to look. Like this is how you write a proposal, or this is how you write a set of instructions. And then students mimic the template, turn in the work, and then they're done. And I don't really care for that approach because 18 months from now or 5 years from now, those documents are going to look drastically different. We're going to have different capabilities. Our audience is going to need and expect different things. So my philosophy is the more you know about why a document looks the way that it does, or where the expectations come from for a certain genre, the more successful you're going to be at adapting yourself in the future. Well, most of my research is in social media movements, and that's obviously a big public communication tool, and it's even becoming a big academic communication tool as well. So just kind of staying active in those communities, being aware of the tools that are out there. I do have an English background, so I have kind of your classic English undergraduate degree. And then I got into a little bit of study in how writing is usually taught. So if you've taken the freshman composition courses, a lot of my background is in that. But then in my graduate work, I got into a lot of scientific writing, and especially communicating among academic scientists. So things like complex journal articles, conference presentations, things like that. But also communicating science to the public in a way that helps get grant funding or get some momentum behind scientific initiatives and things like that. So I think the dynamic between those two, the just drastic differences between how it looks to write for a fellow engineer or a fellow chemist versus how to write for the politician or the grassroots organization that's going to get momentum behind your project is something that I just find fascinating, and I love doing that kind of work, especially because it changes constantly, right? It's never the same. So the best way to be successful in this class is to communicate with me early and often, just about all of your projects, any of your work. I do hold office hours regularly, and those are included on the syllabus. But one thing I want to draw your attention to is we can do those office hours in person, or we can do them via Skype, or we can do a different kind of electronic setup where we're in a Google Doc together and kind of using that chat feature to talk about your work and going really in depth on something in particular that you're working on in the moment. So any of those options that you feel comfortable with, please feel free to get in touch with me.